Welcome everyone to the Island Life podcast, where we journey onto the island of discovery to relive some of the best and worst moments of Survivor. My name is Will, an experienced Survivor fan, 48 seasons deep, and I will be your guide. And joining us on this adventure is our rising Survivor fan with 11 seasons under her belt, and
Hello, I'm back.
yes, welcome. And we're doing a little alternating dance here where we've got Ange one week and F the other week. They're both, respectively, keeping up to date on their own. And we have something special this week. We have instant reaction from F later this episode on his thoughts on these past two episodes.
I'm excited. You guys are going to be excited to see what F has to say for these two episodes.
With that in mind, we need your thoughts because we watched one of the more premiere and remembered episodes of this season, Jacket Gate, without you. So as you were catching up, how did you feel about your winner pick, Angelina? You're like, Natalie?
It was
Natalie?
terrible. Why? I was doing the cringe, the Gabby cry cringe of like, why did you say that? Was the jacket that big of a deal? And then the worst part is like Natalie comes up and like basically bullies Larissa about it. And then I think later on, Nick,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
later
and
on
Nick.
it's like $1 million or a jacket. Like that, like what? I thought that was crazy. And it was so
Yeah,
cringy.
and all on behalf of Angelina. It's not like Natalie wanted to do this. You just surprisingly like agreed with what
I
Angelina
think
wanted.
Natalie just likes to watch the world burn. So she was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? Because I didn't think that Natalie and Angelina has such a good relationship that she would just like do that. But I think Natalie just, she just likes the chaos and she takes it. And Angelina, I don't know. I feel like it was weird because she's the one that suggested it, but then like she gets all like shock Pikachu when like people are not having it and Natalie is doing that. And she's like, "Oh, Natalie, you don't have to do that. It's okay."
Yeah, I think she was hoping that if there was blowback, it would all end up going against Natalie and like nothing would go towards her. But uh that and more drama was backfiring for Angelina. Like from the it's this and really this has been true the entire season. Angelina, more than anyone else, has kind of been the star of the show here. Like maybe not in just raw challenge wins, but in like she's been to several tribal councils already. When that happened, she's driving votes. It had been working out the way she wanted for the most part, even when she was in danger. Even on episodes where her tribe didn't go to tribal, she was kind of part of the action. Uh, so I gotta ask, are you still as gung ho as you were with your Angelina winner pick?
Okay, so as much as I'm not agreeing with Angelina's gameplay. She's not my favorite type of Survivor player. I still think I'm gonna stick with my picks because I'm that person. I'm gonna stick with my picks until they are voted out. So I will not pick my two picks until they're leaving. So Christian and Angelina, buckle up and stay still. Don't leave, okay?
uh, Near misses for both of them
Oh
in,
yeah.
in these in these past episodes. So before we get into episode seven's recap, let's get our thoughts from Survivor F.
Hey guys, Survivor F here. Just wanted to share some thoughts on Survivor 37, Episode 7, and Episode 8. Let's start with Episode 7. Now, this is the episode where the tribes got together, David and Goliath tribe, and we get to see them post-merge. And this is where strategy really comes into play, and you start to see, how each person is trying to brainstorm what exactly will take them to the end. And the focal point of this episode ultimately ended up becoming Elizabeth and Angelina. Before getting into that, what we saw, during the post-merge, the initial discussions were players trying to figure out what works best for them. And Alec was one of the members of the Goliath tribe who, his name was brought up during the dinner that they were having together. And people were concerned because, he backstabbed one of his own Goliaths. And interestingly enough, he was willing to show a capacity to do it again. He didn't believe that his end game involved the Goliaths. He felt that he needed to be a little bit more pragmatic and potentially even work with the Davids if need be. So Alec came up with a little bit more of an interesting strategy that I feel could work to his benefit. But the problem obviously is becoming his name is already out there in terms of someone who helped eliminate one of the other Goliaths. So who knows? He might have a target on his back. Going into the challenge for the episode, this was the challenge where they actually ended up swinging, I believe, these, like the rope around this little platform area. And essentially, if you knocked over whatever that little uh, device that you had in front of you, I'm blanking on what exactly it was. But essentially, if you toppled over this thing as you're essentially building up momentum, you would get eliminated. And essentially, what it amounted to was an endurance challenge, swinging this rope around, making sure you don't knock anything on your side over. And I believe Allison ended up winning this one. Just trying to jog my memory on that one. Interesting challenge. I felt like, over the course of these 2 episodes, we do see endurance come into play. But essentially going back into the post-merge discussions, Elizabeth became someone who also who had her name thrown out there as well. She wasn't popular in her own tribe. She had people who were concerned that she's not going to be able to stay for the long term, or she just isn't useful enough to have around. And we got to see a little bit of her volatility, obviously coming in from some of the prior episodes. Just being able to connect with Carl. Carl didn't enjoy spending time with her, and he let it be known, not to her, but, obviously behind her back. And ultimately, a lot of the group decided, hey, why don't we, the Goliaths have the numbers here. Why don't we try to, if there needs to be a scapegoat, it may as well be Elizabeth. She might be the weakest link right now. So this might be the time to eliminate her. Now, seeing as though Allison had won the challenge, she didn't have immunity. As far as everyone knows, she doesn't have protection. This is where things get interesting, is with the Goliaths, as they're trying to game plan for who they need to eliminate. Most of them are receptive to the fact that, yeah, let's just get a Goliath out. Let's, ultimately for them, it doesn't really matter who, as long as they keep their own Goliath strong. Excuse me, I said take a Goliath out. I meant take a David out. But going back to the tribe decision, Angelina was the one person we saw have a differing opinion. She's concerned about Christian and his growing presence and how smart of a game he's playing and how much of a threat that he can end up becoming. So she's of the thought that, hey, why don't we try to get him out right now? Let's not focus on anyone else within the David tribe. Let's just ultimately try to take out Christian. Now, this, honestly, like, I get her point. I get the concern there. But she herself has the reputation of being two-faced, at least with the people who voted within the same tribal as she did. So she doesn't exactly have the best reputation, similar to Alec. So the group ultimately was not receptive to that idea. They were thinking, like, Christian with the brochachos, they don't ultimately want to get Christian out right now. They feel like, they can leverage that relationship a little bit more. So they're of the thought that no, let's get Elizabeth out. We don't really need to complicate things here. Angelina, being upset that her voice is not being heard in her own tribe, then ends up making an interesting choice to go up to Elizabeth and just reveal to her that, yeah, you're going to be on the chopping block. Your name's being thrown out there. What Elizabeth decides to do is swing it back around and, turn it back on her that, okay, well, if if desperate times call for desperate measures, what I can do is I can let the Goliath tribe know during the tribal that, hey, this person that you're working with is revealing your secrets. They're revealing your game plan. So can you truly trust them? And they have this little dispute during tribal with Elizabeth and Angelina both making their cases. And ultimately, it doesn't feel like that ended up changing anyone's position on the matter because ultimately Elizabeth ends up being the person that gets voted out. I believe the only other person who ended up getting a vote in that tribal was Angelina.
And we're back. So I thought he broke it down pretty well. It ultimately was like it was always going to be Elizabeth, and then suddenly Angelina appears, uh,
That
and
was I thought Angela was gonna be a goner, Will. I thought it was gonna be Angelina the entire time. I'm like, "This is gonna be such a great twist." Even though Angelina's on my team, I was like, "Oh my gosh, if they pull this off, this is amazing. This is a good, good, good episode."
yeah, F pointed out that he understood where Angelina was coming from, and the way Angelina explains it, Christian is the only threat on the David tribe. So while we have the numbers, the Goliaths in the merge had 7 people to the David 6 people, let us target their best member in her estimation, and maybe others' estimation as well. We'll target Christian, especially since the Davids probably think that we're targeting Elizabeth, so that's even better.
Yeah. I do agree with that. That is a good play. I think out of everybody, um, out of the Davids, no offense to Davids, Christian is like the best out of all of them, in my opinion. Everyone else is just kind of backgroundy to me right now. I guess Nick is okay, but I don't know. I think Christian's the main guy that's very well liked, has been like kind of like making good relationships with the Goliaths and has good relationship with the Davids. He's very likable, so I feel like, yeah, it makes sense to blindside the Davids and be like, "Hey, let's take out Christian." But I think it's funny because, like, to Angelina, it's like you could put all this idea out, but as a female, as a woman, you're just like, by putting this idea out, you're being aggressive, you're being bossy, and nobody likes that. And all the Goliaths are just like, "Oh, Angelina just thinks she runs the show," all that stuff. So it's kinda like, I don't know. I understand her frustration because I feel like she does make sense. And I feel like when somebody that, is trying to play a game and it's making sense, but nobody else is understanding that and playing like a quote unquote, like less of a strategic move and more of a easy move of taking out Elizabeth. I think that is frustrating to hear.
Yeah, no, you could definitely, and this'll play out even more in the next episode, but F even said, like, "I understand, but it felt like too much," to paraphrase him, and, like what do you think about that? Because clearly, it's easy to understand, target the biggest threat, that's what Angelia's going with, but it does seem like her even if that's what you wanna do, her own tribe mates are not down for is it just the way she tried to persuade them? Like, is there a timeline where she could've gotten them to agree?
Yeah, I think there's just too much people right now to start swaying people that, because like, everybody has like, there's John, there's I think, like, even Alec or Dan that likes Christian, like, they all have this some sort of relationship with Christian.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I think it's too hard. I mean, obviously, Angelina might not be able to tell that, but I think to by saying like, putting Christian on the spot, you're also attacking your own people that have this relationship with David, like, with, not David, with, Christian, who's on the David tribe. I feel like Angelina thinks too black and white, like David, Goliath, versus, like, there are a lot of people in this game that's playing very, like, let's mix around, like, it's not just David versus Goliath, because I feel like that would make a kinda boring season. If it's just a bunch of Goliaths taking down the Davids one by one by one, that would be so boring to me. So, like, I'm low-key disappointed that Angelina get go down because it would have been cool to see that tribe line kind of merge and blend and someone gets taken out. Um, but I don't know. And for me, I feel like Angelina should have waited a little bit longer because I feel like right now it's everybody's building relationships. Angelina is just kinda holding on to being Goliath strong. There's no relationship between her or anybody in the Davids, right? So, I just feel like I would have waited a little longer until people open their eyes and be like, "Yo, you're right. Christian is good with the people. Christian will win versus the juries. We gotta take Christian out." So, but I feel like right now people are too blinded. This is too close to the merge. The people like just started and then people are too blinded. I think I would have gone with just going with the crew, going with the group. I'm not trying to be crazy here and go against everyone because that puts a target on your back. And
Yeah,
that's what
well,
happened to
especially
her.
the target was still a David. It's not like the original plan was like
Yes, that's
on
true.
on
Yeah.
its face of it, the original plan was still Goliath strong.
Yes.
Now, under the surface, it was those people who have relationships with Davids, being like, "Well, I can protect the people I like while still keeping all the Goliath people in."
Yeah.
But
And that's, like,
but
the main
ultimately,
thing in, like, the after now the merge is that's the cool part about everybody doing their own thing of, like, I wanna keep Goliath strong, but I wanna make sure I have a good, like, mix of Davids too that I'm in a good, like, plan with. And right now, it is true, like, these people are gonna get voted out. It's jury time. So, you don't wanna be just, "Oh, I'm a Goliath," because if there's, like what if there's 1 David in the end? Then probably all the Davids wanna vote for the Davids. I don't know. That's what I'm
mm,
thinking.
yeah, this also, I think, especially in this rewatch, this is a huge red flag to Angelina's own social game. Because I think she's doing very well in strategic game. Like she's a lot of what she says makes sense, and she's able to get the people she wants out, get them out. So far, it has been working out, but people like Dan and John they have the bruchacho, so they really like
Mm.
Christian, and then and then
Brochacho.
and then we'll get into it in a bit. But Alec sees himself as part of another cross alliance uh team up, and that's with the Strike Force, the group of
Oh my
6,
gosh,
which
yes.
was pretty strong in this episode. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that right now then. So we end up hearing, it's kind of been a lot of things went into it, but I think edit-wise, it's a combination of Mike, like, going to talk to people, like, we're on the same page, right? And then Alec on the Goliaths really feeling like he needs another option other than the Goliaths. Mike also comes back to talk to Allison because they had been split up for a while. Nick and Christian have been the Mason Dixon. They also reunite, and like Gabby, of course, is with Christian. So like it all kind of good timing and good relationships create this 6-person cross tribal alliance. So what do you think of that?
I don't know. That's weak. I think it is gonna
Oh, it's
form
weak.
as
Oh no.
fast as it is gonna be broken. It's just a bunch of people that are like, "Hey, I'm with this person. Oh, I'm also with this person. Let's work together." Okay. Like, not all 6 of them are together. It's just like Gabby gets pulled in with Christian. Like, basically, they're a 1 for 2, like you buy 1, get 2, like, get 1 free kinda thing. You know, if you're gonna be working with Christian, you gotta work with Gabby. And then, Allison and Mike is working with Christian, and Mike is nice with Allison, and then Alec is all about, "I'm gonna take down a Goliath." And, that's Alex's thing. He took down Natalia, right?
Mhm.
And, Alec is to not be trusted in the Goliath team because he did take down a Goliath himself. He blindsided her. So, I don't know. I just it's different because Natalie being out, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, I understand." It's shocking, but also it's wait, no, it wasn't shocking. It was shocking that Natalia left, but it was not shocking that Natalie left because everyone do not blame them for taking out Natalie. They're like, "Oh yeah, I would have done that ages ago."
Sure, it's explainable.
Yeah, so, like, Mike doesn't get that hot seat that Alec did. Um, so, I think I don't know, I just don't think it's that strong. I think the smaller ones are better. I those 6 groups of 6, I just never feel like it's gonna break out. I don't think so. And
You
what's this season has so many nicknames, Will. Is this like a common thing? It's just the new era, they don't make names often, and then this one just all of a sudden, I
Yeah,
hear
this
like 30 names being made.
and this is the first one that did not come from Nick. I think
Yes.
Christian named this one.
Christian's inspired by Nick. He was like, "You know what? What's better than, having just a lions call it a lions? You gotta call it a name."
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, I thought it just reminded me of season 48 where, like, ultimately and it's easier for this to happen because there's 3 tribes, but a group of 6, which was people from a couple different tribes, all came together and mostly stayed together. Like, the core of them stayed together in the end.
Do you find this like what do you think? Like, did you find it strong, good when you were initially watching it?
I think it was just Christian was explaining it to me, so I'm like, "That's right, Christian. Yeah, I bet this is great. The strike force is awesome."
The
Like, the way
factorials were factorialing.
yeah, the way Christian talks his confessionals just makes me want to take him
Ye
100%
yes.
serious.
He's very charismatic, Christian. Like, although, like, I feel like in the beginning you think he's like this nerdy guy, but he is a very charismatic person, a very charismatic player. And I think that's probably why so many of the people like him no matter and he also talks about it in the several episodes before being like, it's weird for him to hang out with the brochachos because like he doesn't that's not him. And but it's just I see him shine in that, and I think he's really good. I think he's better than what he thinks he is.
Yeah, and because of that, that's an example of after the tribe swap, Christian is able to make some inroads with people from the other tribe. Even Mike himself able to make inroads with Nick on 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 the other tribe. Angelina, as a reminder, her swapped tribe was Mike, Nick, Lyrissa, and Natalie.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, maybe there's just nothing to be done, but she failed miserably to create any connections with that
No.
group before.
That's why she's stuck with, like, Goliath because, obviously, Larissa hates her because she rather, like, take the jacket and all that, and then Nick is just totally like, "Nah, if you could be like this for a jacket, you could do anything for
Yeah,
$1,000,000," which is so true.
who would have thought a jacket? Because I think you're right. Like that, the way that all played out. Obviously, you end up voting out Lyrissa. So
Yes.
then, and before that, you voted out Natalie. Even though you didn't have any intention of working with Natalie, but that's one less person. And the way that all played out turned off Mike and Nick from being interested in working with you, which is bad because Mike's actually on your tribe. Mike would rather work with some of the other tribe, and seemingly has a better connection with Nick than you. And you're not with the other two swapped tribes, so no opportunity for that. So that all leads to when they're merged. Now there's a bunch of connections that she's not a part of, and there was no reunions when Mike came back. He was all happy to see Allison again. When Dan reunites with Kara, of course, they're very happy to
Ah,
see each
the
other.
romance,
The showmance is
the
strong,
showmance, yes, very
but
strong, I love it.
nothing for Angelina. And now when there's further drama, there's no one to have her back, and and
No.
that really hurts her. That being
Yeah.
said, when the dust settles, despite all the craziness, and you know what? Let's break down the craziness, F F described. Angelina convinces the whole Goliath tribe to vote against Christian at first, but then in little groups, most of them talk behind her back of how they don't really want to do that, and then as a group, they're like, "Well, we're gonna overrule Angelina. Somebody go talk to her to say that we overruled it." And they probably did they say send Dan? I think they sent Dan
I think
to
they did because he's the one doing the talking, and then Angelina basically just said, like, a man like Dan or, like, "Just come up here and tell them the thing, and everybody listens," or something like that. It's just like,
well,
eh.
yeah, yeah, well, and so now it could have ended there, which is already bad because now, like, and, like, that's a huge red flag for your tribe to not talk about it to your face and come back to you separately to say that the plans changed. That's not good.
Yeah.
She decides to go talk to Elizabeth, who now it's gonna be Elizabeth, and tell her, "Look, it's gonna be you. I tried to get it to be someone else. My alliance turned it back on me. There's nothing to be done, but I just want you to know." Type of deal.
Dude, that was crazy. I feel like I need to give Angelina a Oscar, because the look on her face was pure concern, but also basically saying, "You're effed tonight." Like, "I'm telling you this, but I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just letting you know. Good night." Yeah.
Which is funny because no one neither of them say this, but the response could have been like, "Oh, you're trying to save me, so, like,
Yes.
are you gonna vote with us and, like, make it a tie?"
Yes. Yes, that's
Um,
what I thought she was gonna do. I
or no,
actually
it wouldn't
thought
have even been a tie, actually. It would have been
like, we could,
7-6,
like
so
yeah, it'll be like, "We wanna blindside them, like, I know what they're gonna do today, but I think if we all get together, like, I'm tired of working with the Goliaths, I wanna work with you guys, like, I really wanna, like, prove to you," like, that would be, like, what I thought was she was going with, but it was just like, "They're coming for you tonight. Good night," like, that's it. I just wanna let you know so you don't feel so bad when you get voted out. It's you. And then, what are you gonna do about that? It's just crazy, and Angelina had this sad face too, it's like, "Oh, I tried my best, I try to help you." But it's just,
but it comes the problem is, as good as an actress she might be in these situations, you had no existing relationship with Elizabeth. So, of course, this is gonna come out of the blue, like, you would think to yourself, "Why would she even care to save me at all?" Like, she's saying, like, "I wanted you around. You never talked to me. What do you mean?"
yes, it's not like they had a relationship at all, like, I've never seen them had any sort of interaction or anything like that. Like, if it was Kara to Elizabeth, I think that would make more sense and be definitely genuine, but Angelina to Elizabeth is like, "Wait, what? What just happened?" Like, where did that come from? So it was just so obvious that why would you even try? Like, I think Angelina had a misstep there by even doing it. You should know how to read the room that nobody ate close to you. Nobody gonna trust you. You could come up to her and warn her all you want and make it seem like you care, but nobody's gonna believe you, and it's gonna look worse on you because now you're seen as manipulative, and, it's bad.
Yeah, so what'd you think of Elizabeth's response to this? So, Elizabeth decides, and maybe this was part of a group think plan because she goes to talk to the rest of the Davids, but I'm gonna blow up her spot at tribal council now. I'm gonna just throw her right under the bus. Even though, like, with all appearances, it looked like she was just being kind to you, but too bad. Under the bus you go.
Yep, it's gone. And then but it's very smart is that, does Elizabeth talk to Gabby about it after? I believe she kinda talks to Gabby about it, and then, like, they're talking about when to talk about this. They should, like, tell the Goliath and be like, "Hey, Angelina told me this." But they ended up ultimately, Elizabeth ended up doing it during tribal. I was wondering, like, during this time, and ultimately in the end, everybody voted for Elizabeth, although all this whole mix up and all that stuff, like, she ended up going home. But in my mind, I was thinking, like, what if Elizabeth did it earlier before tribal, would have it been better? Or would the outcome still be the same?
It's a tough situation because it had a lot of shock value at tribal, right?
Yes.
Like the Goliaths were shocked and appalled, but it it really seemed like by then everyone's minds were made up. Even the Davids' minds were made up because it's not like it was a 6-7 vote. It was a 12-1 vote. So if
Yeah.
instead she had tried to do it before, it would have created a scramble, but maybe I guess the risk for everyone who's not Elizabeth is what if it's just like, "Oh, well then she knows, let's pick somebody else now." And then,
Yeah.
like, it could be Gabby. So, like, Gabby might not want that, or it could be Christian. Christian wouldn't want that. If you're Elizabeth, maybe, I mean, yeah, you probably do want that, but, um or maybe they could have gone to, like, one like, Alec and only Alec, and then because they really ultimately only need one person to flip, but I liked Alec restraint here, because for whatever reason, he's just itching to go against the Goliaths. Like, he really wants to
Yes.
not be with them. But he's right. If he does that right now, then he will temporarily be in a new majority because he'll be with the remaining 6 Davids, but he'll have no more friends and Goliaths, of course, and is probably the bottom of the Davids because he's the outsider. So until such a time as he has more confidence in the strike force, let's say, it probably is not a good idea to and he doesn't. So I agreed with him actually.
Yeah, I think it's always, like, tough to be, like, the one flipper guy because you'll be seen as the traitor, and then when you flip over to the other place, it doesn't mean that they, like, respect you or take you. Like, sure, you prove it to them that you are able to stay on the other side, but then you also prove that you are a flipper. You can flip-flop, flip-flop. So, I think that's a very risky maneuver.
Yeah, it almost has to be like you need to flip as a group.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
especially in fact, best case scenario, it's a cross-tribal alliance, and one of you flips on, like, your original tribe, but if you make it to the end, you say, like, "I flipped because it was never about the group. I had my strategy with my number 1 ally, and together we did what we had to do." Like, that sounds better than just like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
for
decided I
sure.
hated you guys," and made
I
it.
decided, you're done.
So, yep, Elizabeth, is gone, and I think this, is I think it's very likely that this was just agreed upon even by the Davids all along, and it was basically a sacrifice, especially because Gabby in this. So, everything's playing out. Angelina is really under fire here because Elizabeth, like we said, throws her under the bus, reveals it, and now Angelina's taking heat and questions from her own tribe at tribal, and then Gabby's asked about it, and Gabby somehow makes this about like, "Of course we're throwing you under the bus because we're all on the bottom, and it's so
Gabby,
hard for us Davids, and
Gabby,
so
it's
on and
not
so forth."
about you. It's not the Gabby show. My goodness. Oh,
Remember when you were hoping like, "Oh, maybe it's just like this one time, this one episode."
it didn't stop. It didn't stop. I don't know. I don't get Gabby. I don't get it. Why? Why? I was just like, I was like, "Gabby, please, can you take a minute before, like, everyone's like, 'You know what? You know what? Let's give you something to cry about. Let's vote for you next time.'"
Oh,
I
jeez,
feel
wow.
like that's gonna happen. I don't know. I feel like this entire time, Gabby's just a consistent, "Nobody wants to work with me. No one wants to be with me. No one wants to talk to me. Like, the only person that does is Christian, and even Christian's got his own people. Like, I don't wanna share my Christian." Like, I'm like, "Gabby, go out there and talk to people." And then, like, the one time she does talk to Allison, she's crying again, and she's like, "Nobody's talked strategy to me," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, Gabby, please." I have, like, I wanna feel for her, but at the same time, I feel very, "Ugh, stop it. Stop it, Gabby. Not this way. I don't like it. I don't like this way of playing right now."
Yeah, and I would theorize that part of her feelings during this tribal was that the Davids as a group, except for Elizabeth, had decided to just sacrifice her, like, allow Elizabeth to be voted out without a fight, and she's probably didn't want that, but went with the group, and
Yeah,
so
but she should have
she
said
might
something.
she might be feeling like her group has given up, when in reality, like her number 1 and her are part of this secret six-person alliance that actually you should feel powerful, like, you're making like, it's not about David and Goliath anymore, it's about the 6 of you, so anyone else who's not the 6 of you is fair game, and even Davy and Carl, I feel like, are biding their time anyway, for the perfect time we would see, so I don't know, but that's my theory. I think this episode especially, it probably felt like the Davids were giving up as a group, and somehow Gabby did not get the message that that wasn't the case,
Mm,
which is
yeah.
odd because her number 1 is, like, one of the more plugged in people in Christian.
It's just terrible. But I got a crazy theory, Will, okay? Crazy theory.
Okay.
Gabby is gonna win Survivor with her tears. This entire time, there's sob stories, there is cries, and every time she's gonna take those people out like a black widow. And it's from her tears, and it's gonna have a compilation of all this. And in the end, she's actually a baddie who doesn't cry at all in her real life situation. This is her survivor persona, and she's able to play everybody. And in the end, she betrays Christian. Christian goes down, and she wins as sole survivor. Bam.
Ah, oh my goodness. That I mean, that would be something. That would make you a legend if if you did that.
You're so
I'll just
struck that I'm like, maybe
I'm
this
just gonna
was crazy.
I'm just gonna pin that with so you have your 2 winner picks, and you also just have Gabby being a baddie as another prediction.
Yes, yes.
Alright.
Gabby this entire time was a baddie. This was all act. This is all for show. She actually, she's a Natalie in real life, and you never saw it coming.
Well, that's for sure. I will have never seen it coming. So so
So you're like, because
so
I've never seen it, period.
so that's the end of Elizabeth. Ultimately, I don't think remarkable enough to hope to come back.
Will, I feel bad about her back, and I think it's okay. You don't have to come back, Elizabeth. Take care of yourself.
Farewell. So then we go into the second episode we watched, uh, which was You Get What You Give. So basically, the way this is playing out is the fallout for Angelina, another Angelina episode. Because now, although no one voted for her except for Elizabeth, her own alliance is still quite upset at her. So she tries to do some damage control here. And uh how would you rate her success in
Oh, it's bad.
pacifying her people?
It's bad. Just the story being made, and I think, like, there are several people I was like, "I saw this whole thing happen." Like, they saw Angelina pull in Elizabeth, and I'm like, "Ah, there's eyewitnesses, and yet you're still lying." I just feel like by lying I feel like there is a charm to just being like, "Hey, I was trying to do jury management, and I clearly miscalculated, and I messed up, like, this is what I was trying to do." I think there is something to just open up that because 'cause you're being called out for it, you might as well own it up. There's something to be respected for it rather than lie your way and be caught in that lie. Already lying once, like, come on, just step it up and it's okay, but instead, it just looks even worse. Ugh.
Yeah, and again, she has no like ride or die ally who would kind of vouch for her or defend her here. So it's all up to her. And she goes with the double down tactic, and it does not seem to work. People are not buying it. And I mean, she didn't make any friends with David's either because like they just see her as not only do they see her as being sneaky with the jury management, but they're also like, ah, good, a target that the Goliath might want to vote out. So that's just good for us. So we'll just target her anyway and hope for the best. So not at all good for Angelina. Let's now bring in Survivor F's thoughts on this episode before we can go any further.
Moving on to episode 8. Episode 8 is also very interesting in terms of turn of events. Once again, we have, I'll just skip ahead to the challenge here. I don't recall any interesting discussions that have come up. Obviously, I think there's just the aftermath of dealing with Angelina revealing to the rest of the group, and she's kind of just pleading her case, which is falling on deaf ears because, to be quite honest, like she doesn't exactly have the best alibi here. Everyone kind of understands that she's just making stuff up to be able to help her own case. So no one's buying the lie that she's selling that like, no, I was working with you guys in mind, and Elizabeth, the way it happened was such and such. So long story short, no one was really buying that story. But this is where we see that divide really form with her and her own group. And ultimately what ends up happening is they go into a challenge. And this is an interesting challenge. It's a team-based challenge where you're holding up these little sacks that have weights in them, and collectively, I'm sure they're heavy, But essentially, as you're holding them up as a group, you can't let them come all the way down to I believe about like wherever you're like um around where your hips are. So ultimately, it's you just can't drop it because if one person in your team drops it, then the entire like this water tank right above you uh dumps on you and you lose the challenge. So the interesting component to this is after a certain period of time, they call one member of the group to come out, and whatever they're holding then gets given to someone else. So ultimately, it's a test of endurance. You're holding up these weights, and I'm sure it gets tiring as your arms are up above your head the entire time. So this is where, I, I just can't help but think that, it ultimately what it leads to is there's a lot to the game and how the teams are kind of how they're showing everyone because Dan really kind of wants to show off here. As soon as like his own team members go off, he ends up holding three above his head, which ends up immediately costing his group the game. The other group ends up winning. I believe the prize that they win was pizza lunch. So it wasn't like an immunity challenge or anything like that. But speaking of immunities or even like advantages in that sense, this is where we got to see them really come into effect. During this tribal, we actually see that obviously the pressure is on Angelina, but then, they're also concerned, the Davids are concerned that, yeah, okay, if Christian's name is out there, now this is the episode where everyone is kind of seeing eye to eye with what Angelina is saying that, yeah, okay, Christian might be a threat level. Let's just try to take him out. Now, what Davy decides to do after discussing it with Nick, and they're kind of worried about Christian, is why don't I use my hidden immunity idol to protect Christian? That's a real bro move of him. He's secretly part of the bro chachos, mind you. Not officially, but just secretly in my mind. So they end up turning it on the people who voted for Christian during tribal, cancel out that vote. Angelina's concerned that, like she's going to be the backup vote. So she's had a prior dialogue prior to even getting to tribal with Dan of like, you'll protect me, right? Like in case anything happens. And Dan does give her some set of reassurance. And it really gets tested here. You could see Dan hesitate a little bit as she's looking at him. But you then go see that, like, yes, he also ends up using a hidden immunity idol protecting Angelina. So essentially the two big people who have the highest amount of votes, Angelina and Christian, ultimately don't end up like their votes do not end up counting, which then falls back to the third option, interestingly enough, which ends up being John. And this must be some sort of plan that Christian and Nick might have devised out because, it's kind of smart in the sense that they eliminated one of the stronger physical members of the Goliath tribe. I think for Christian, he eliminated someone who's part of the Brochachos, and I think something that might have set John up was what he was speaking to during the tribal, where we see Christian start to doubt his trust in his fellow member. So, long story short, this ended up being a very, very fascinating episode in terms of how it ended. We got to see idols used. We got to see potentially an advantage in play. Like, there was, I was thinking that, potentially could we see the steal vote? With the two idols, it was getting really dicey. But episode 8 ended off with a bang. We got to see John go. A prior episode, we got to see Elizabeth go. So looking forward to what happens next and where we go from here.
So there you had it. So F, I think just like anyone, was pretty shocked by the tribal council of this episode. Such a crazy tribal council. It is reasonable to actually start there at the end of the episode. So annoyingly for Angelina, the target comes around to Christian again. This time from Dan and a couple other people, and this time more people are game for doing it than last time. And we've all been there. She's just stuck being like, I just said this. This was my plan that you all gave me grief about yesterday, or however many days ago it was.
That's frustrating. I think as much as I'm like, "Oh, Angelina's giving me," it is very frustrating seeing that because you're like, "That's what I've been saying this entire time. No one's listening, and now you wanna do that?" It's very frustrating, and I think it's more frustrating when, like, you've been played as, like, the bad guy too, and your idea is now being taken, and that's the new, like, it thing. So and then the I guess the worst part is just everyone is just like, "But we're gonna say it's pretend it's you." And nobody wants to be pretend it's you because pretend can sometimes become you. And I think that's where Angelina is like, "Dang it, why am I putting that?"
Yeah, and I think it was Dan who also was a little aggressive with how he phrases it, but he says that, "Look, this is like you messed up, so now like this being uncomfortable in the deco is kind of what you deserve." Like you're like paraphrasing.
It was kinda shooketh, like, that Dan said that. He would never say that to Kara, but yeah, just saying.
No, so this is not great, but there's not much to be done for Angelina. Like not like yeah, like it's she's stuck. Like the best she could do is I don't even know if it would be a good idea to randomly search for an idol because then you'll be seen and maybe that would put your own tribe over the edge and they would vote for you. So there's nothing to be done. So she just has to hope that everyone votes for Christian like they want. Now, uh Davy. So Davy has kept his idol he found many episodes ago, secret from everybody. So good on you, Davy. And Nick finds out from Mike, I believe, that it like or just stiffs it out, but like Christian's in danger. Um or like deduces this because he's disappointed that the strike force isn't sticking together already after one episode.
As I
Um
said.
Yeah, yeah. See now that we're in this episode, yes. Unfortunately, Mike has been well, it's mostly Mike, but he's scared off of the strike force. Uh so Davey just has to decide like Nick is trying to theorize how to protect Christian, and Davey's in his head, Davey's like, well, I can protect Christian 100% because I have this idol. Should I use it or not ends up being the question. And it's not too common to use your idol for someone else. It's happened, of course, but it's always a scary thing, like, this is my like, what if I need it later? And then I don't have it? What if I guess wrong? What if it's not the person I give it to? I just completely wasted. But Davey decides he's confident enough from what he's heard from Nick and other people that they're targeting Christian, and he goes for it. He uses his immunity idol on his ally and teammate Christian. So the first idol play of the season.
Easy. I think what's scarier than being wrong about putting an idol and have someone else vote out is going home yourself. So, I think that's scary. I think that if Davy I didn't realize that Davy and Christian were that tight. I'm not gonna lie, was not aware, I think, and then I was shocked, Pikachu, that, like, Davy even did this for Christian. And even Christian himself was like, "Wait, what? Like, well, me? Like, why are we putting on me?" Like, I feel like he was just, like, looking around like, "WTF? Like, me tonight?" Like, I was unaware that I was going home tonight. Um, and so it was kinda funny seeing, like, Christian's reaction. It wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing it for," it was just like, "Wait, what? That was part of the plan?"
Yeah, and to be honest, it feels more like just as a tribe, like we protect each other versus like you're my number one or anything. And yeah, so Davey used on Christian, and we know as the audience he's guessing right. They are targeting Christian, and then all eyes turn to Dan, specifically Angelina's eyes, because this actually came
Pleading
up
eyes.
earlier in the episode when while they're having that heated conversation, Dan kind of flippantly is like, "Look, and if Christian has an idol, I'll use my idol on you." And even later, he's like debating it with Alec, maybe. Uh, is like, should I do that though? I don't know. Like maybe we just let it, but they probably didn't. I mean, they didn't expect Christian to have an idol, and he didn't. It was Davey that used it on him. And you're right, Angelina just just please, like begging without saying the words.
Those puppy dog eyes came right out. She was like, these eyes were glistening into Dan. It was like, "Please, you said you would, please. I'm gonna die." And Dan just does it, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, Dan, you have 2 idols. You have you are in an incredible spot right now. Great people, great relationships, and you're gonna use it on Angelina right now? Like, I'm a little confuzzled, or is it just me? Like, did that make sense to you? Is it because that he wants to keep Goliath strong? Or keep Angelina as a good partner. Did not realize they had that great of a relationship.
I think it's mostly like keep the tribe strong, and then uh some percentage of the puppy dog eyes also. Like it's a shocking moment, it's a stressful moment, and even if you don't like them, like you don't want to be looked as a horrible person.
He shouldn't have given
And
his word. That's what he shouldn't have done.
well, yeah, and that's why I don't even he just didn't think it would come up. He was just saying that. But now he's being called out on it. If he doesn't do it, then Angelina will never vote for him to
That's
win.
true.
But maybe that but looking at the people left in the game, that might just be fine. Like, sure, I don't need your vote. I'll get everybody else's vote to win. But what actually happens is the Davids were smart. They did not stop at just protecting Christian. They said, well, we think every single Goliath vote is going to be blocked by this idol. So, with our 5 votes, we're going to split it between 2 people. That way, if by chance we get stopped, then our other pick will go home. And I don't know if you caught this. In the end, 2 of the 5 people voted for Angelina, and the rest of them, the other 3 voted for John. So actually, John was the primary target here. Christian, Davey, and Nick voted for John, and then Carl and Gabby voted for Angelina. But I'm sure they were voting as a group, so they decided this to split. So this is a huge win for Davids. The Davids got out who they actually wanted, which is John. Evidence because that's who they put the majority of the votes on. They got an idol to get wasted, like to get because it protected someone who wouldn't have gone home anyway. And Angelina's still in the game and still at odds with her own tribe, making her she's still an easy target. This is a big, big win for if they choose to stay together, those 5 Davids, this is good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really good play for the Davids. It was very crazy good. But I still think I do you think that Christian knew that he was targeted tonight? Like, I still think that he was just shocked that I was. I was like, he is more shocked than I was actually because I knew. But he's like, "Wait, what?"
Well, so that's true. So he clearly looked befuddled. Now, he was confronted, I think, earlier by Nick. I mean, Nick didn't like shake him, be like, "It's gonna be you," but I thought he was being pretty clear still, like they're coming for you. And Christian has a confessional is like, "Well, if that's true, then I'm sunk. Nothing to be done. I got nothing. I got no idol. I got no advantage." Um, so, but I can't think of another. It would not make sense to if you don't know that an idol's coming to split your 5 votes because what's that gonna? 3 votes and 2 votes can't beat anything.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
You would think you would vote altogether 5 and hope you get one person to flip so that it's a 6-6 tie. By the way, this is one of the first episodes with big criticism or even pairs of episode where Christian does not look that great. Like poor performances in the last 2 challenges. Even the team challenge where they're all holding the weights, like they hold these bags. Uh, yeah, he left that challenge early, so not even good there. And I just mentioned it because he's surprisingly been pretty good in most challenges. So this was an off 2 episodes for him there. And he is completely bamboozled that he was a target at all. Like that he couldn't
Mhm.
fathom that he would have even been a target. So he would have been blindsided. And if not for Davy having a secret idol and being willing to use it for him, I mean, he was cooked. He was
Yeah.
done.
I agree. I think he's been playing a very good social game, but I think you're right. I mean, you do make a point that he hasn't been, like, showing his plays as much, but maybe he'll surprise us on the next episode, you know? I still believe. Christian, you got this. What I think is gonna be crazy is when if Davy or, Dan gets out, I feel like that's oughta hurt. I think it's gonna hurt if Dan doesn't make it to the final 3 and Angelina does. Or Davey doesn't make it in the final 3 and
Oh.
Christian does. I think that hurts, like, low key. Wouldn't that hurt you? I feel like that
Oh,
would
I see
kill
what you're
me.
saying. For the people that use idols for not themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And Dan has 2. Like, in my mind, I was like, "Oh my gosh, 2 idols?" I think that might be my baby's first. I don't think I've seen somebody having 2 idols yet. I didn't even know that was a possibility. They could just hold on to 2 idols like that. And now people think he doesn't have an idol anymore, which is pretty cool, I guess. I guess it takes
Yeah,
off the pressure off him
yeah,
in a way. So I
maybe
guess that was a smart move.
spin zone. He has another idol regardless. Other than Kara, people would think he now no longer, even if they knew he had one idol, they now think he has 0. He tried to defend a member of the Goliath Alliance. That
You
looks
know what?
good.
You're right. Okay. You are winning me back now. I'm being won back. I like it.
Of course, I hate that he told Kara about the second idol, though. He had no good explanation either. He was like, "I know I shouldn't have, but I just couldn't help myself." I was like, "Come on, Dad."
Oh my god, the one thing, Dan, one thing. Like, it's crazy. And it's not like they even have a thing. Like, Dan is, like, enamored. Like, Dan is, like, all goo gaga about Kara. Just like how Gabby is with Christian. Gabby's all about, like, "Ooh, Christian, you're so sweet. You're so nice." And then Christian's just like, "Oh, cool, factorials and patterns and puzzles. Let me tell you more. Tell
Well, do you
everybody
think
more."
it's possible? Like, you've been getting a lot of bad vibes from Gabby, I think it's safe to say. Is it possible the lack of reciprocation from Christian is also contributing to her distress? Their daily distress?
You know, I mean, it could be. I it could be the fact that Gabby, like, maybe likes him in a level that Christian doesn't, you know? I mean, who knows? Maybe Christian's got a girl and we don't know and doesn't, or a guy or whoever or a significant other back home and we don't know about. And nobody really shares about their significant others actually in this season. Like, I cannot
Mm.
recall anybody. Oh, wait, actually, no. Angelina talked about her significant other. They did, but not a lot of people talk
A
about it. But
Marine.
yeah, but it's like if you think about it, like if let's say Kara was in a relationship, right? And Kara just straight up said like I had a boyfriend. I feel like Dan would not have been so. Well, obviously, Dan would be like, "Oh, okay," and then back up, like, "You have a boyfriend. I'm not into you," but that would destroy this whole relationship, which, like, to Kara's disadvantage, like, this relationship has been advantageous for Kara. So I wonder if people do that, like, ever, like, hide the fact that they're in a relationship or, like, not hide, but just not talk about it or not make it known so they can have this potential, like, a little show flirt, to, like, make it, "Well, I'm not really in a relationship with you. I'm not trying to fully flirt with you, but I'm also not saying, like, hey, it's a closed door. I mean, if you work with me and if we are a team together, things may happen. Who knows? But you know what I'm saying?
It's a slippery slope.
It
You
is. It
need
is.
you
Not that
need
I'll do it if
you
I was
need
in
to get
Survivor, but
you need
I'm
to
just
get
saying.
like 100 blessings from your partner
Oh, for
before you use
sure.
that strategy.
If my man did
Otherwise,
that, oh, I don't care if he brings $1,000,000. He better buy me the entire Mount Fiji itself. Like, for me to and bring Jeff over for family dinner every Christmas, or else it's over, sir.
yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think that's why you usually do not see that type of
Yes.
strategy.
Yes.
It's very, I guess you could do it the other way around. You could pretend you do have somebody if you thought that would be useful. But,
Yes, yes. I guess that
um,
nobody can get
what's
hurt
what's
really.
funny is I know the relationship status of all these people
Oh,
as
okay.
as of this game and post, so, when you find out, I think you'll be, uh,
Oh my gosh, Gabby
very
has a
interested.
husband at home right now. I'm just saying Gabby's all over Christian. That's the plot twist. That'll be funny. That should be I can't wait for the final episode when you tell me all the relationships. Like, is it gonna happen or what?
Yeah,
Like, does
yeah,
Dan and
oh, yeah,
Kara
let's
end
see.
up dating? Like, do they end up is this
Ooh,
like right
see,
now, are they together? Are they having kids happily ever after kinda thing? Like, who knows?
I'll have to wait and see. Last thing, we unfortunately saw Survivor F lose yet another winner pick. Because John, by the way, John is there. They put 3 votes on John, 2 votes on Angelina. So they just get out John. This wasn't explained, but we're left to infer that they were picking a target from the Goliaths, and they decided the most dangerous person on the Goliaths was John, which is an interesting pick, especially because I mean, like, for Christian, that is someone he could have kept in as the alliance member, maybe if he wanted to. But in the end, I mean, like just speculating, maybe it was that the rest of his tribe figured he's the big and strong guy. We should get him out. And Christian could have fought against that, but it would be too suspicious, so he just went along with it. And because of that, we have just heard that F's new winner pick to replace John is Allison. So we will see how well that goes.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see. I don't think I lost anybody yet. I think, yeah, Christian and Angelina. Yes, my
You
2
were in
people.
grave danger,
I was
but you
today.
survived.
Double. Both of them was gonna get knocked out. They could be.
Yes, yes. But all right, that brings us to the end of an episode where we're full steam ahead now in the merge. The biggest question is, with this big win for the Davids, will we continue to see David and Goliath trading blows, or is it going to be more of this strike force idea that has been shaky, but it's not broken? So will there be more cross-tribal alliances making decisions? Only time will tell.
Ooh.
But thank you everyone for tuning in, and until we speak again, ciao.